Hello, children. Good morning. I'm back with the second part of this chapter, the era of Cold War. Right. Let's quickly recapitulate whatever we studied in the last video. Uh, we studied what is Cold War, what is arms race, theory of deterrence, uh, dividing of the world into two camps, the military alliances, arenas of Cold War, and I think you people are clear with this concept, right? We'll take this discussion further, and I would teach you today the remaining part of the chapter, a very, very and very important topic, that is the non-aligned movement, NAM. Uh, India's role in NAM. What is NAM? India's role in NAM. Uh, the new international economic order that we call NIEO, and then India's stand in international politics, and then few treaties that took place between the superpowers. So let's get going. Uh, we have learned that the world got divided into broadly two worlds. The one is the first world, represented by USA, or the Western alliances, or what we call the capitalist world. And the second one, that is represented by Soviet Union, USSR, or the communist or the socialist world, right? So we have got two poles. One pole represents the USA and the other pole represents USSR, and broadly the world is divided between these two powers, or these two camps. Now, there was a time in 1945 onwards, the era between 1945 and 1960, that is 50s, 60s, saw a new uprising, a new concept, a new ideological revolution, and that was that the Afro-Asian countries, the countries of Africa and Asia, were getting independent from their imperialist powers. Like, for example, in 1947, India got independence from Great Britain or United Kingdom. The same way, many countries of Asia and Africa were getting independence from their respective imperial countries, mother countries, right? Now, all these countries, because they had been under the imperialist powers for quite long, were suffering with some common problems. And these problems, some of them were widespread poverty, widespread illiteracy, problems on the basis of racism, color, religion. No infrastructure was there. The economy was stagnant. The production activity was at its lowest. The agriculture was not experiencing any new invention or discovery. It was very stagnant and a very prehistoric kind of agriculture. So all these were some common problems which were being faced by all the newly independent countries of Asia and Africa. Now, as they got independence, they had got three choices. These newly independent countries had three choices in front of them. Number one, to join the first world, that is USA and allies. Two, to join USSR and its allies. And there was another third option, not to join or be aligned. I'm again repeating, not to join or be aligned to any of the power blocks, any of the camps, any of the poles, and remain away from them and using their precious resources their GDP, their GNP, the money, etc., for their own development. Now, every newly independent country had limited amount of money and resources. They could use it for their own development, or they could spend the same for helping the superpowers, whether they join USA or they join USSR. They have to spare their resources, as I have discussed earlier in the last video, why alliances are made by the superpowers. Those countries which did not join any of the power bloc, they neither joined the USA power bloc nor joined the Soviet Union power bloc, remained independent of these power blocs, made a new world called the Third World. These countries were not aligned to either US or USSR. That, that's why we call these countries as the non-allied countries, and this movement of remaining independent from these two superpowers and not joining them, this movement in political history is called non-allied movement, or what we commonly known as say as NAM, NAM, the non-allied movement, NAM. Now, the first informal meeting of NAM took place way back in 1956 in Bandung. We had three leaders: Jawaharlal Nehru, India; Marshal Tito, Yugoslavia; and Abdel Nasser of Egypt met, and they were strongly supported by Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and Sukarno of Indonesia. So the first informal meeting, a get together of these countries of just to discuss what to do, how to do, it took place in Bandung in 1956. Then the strategy was chalked out, everything was done, and in 1961, the first summit of NAM took place, which was presided by these five countries. I'll repeat the names: India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru; Egypt, Abdel Nasser; Yugoslavia, Marshal Tito; Indonesia, Suharto; and Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah. Now, in boards, this question comes and it's very confusing. The first meeting, 1956, Bandung; the first summit, 1961, Belgrade. Now, as the time went by, many new Afro-Asian countries joined NAM, and today there are more than 130 countries in NAM, right? So NAM became a very, very important and influential movement. Now, let us understand NAM well. The first thing that we have to understand and be very careful about it is that NAM is not joining any particular power bloc, but it's not a neutral organization as well. It is not neutral. Being neutral means whatever wrongs are being done in this world by USA or Soviet Union, let it happen. Let them happen. No. NAM is not a neutral body. It will take its stand on an issue, on an international issue, voice its concern, and will side by the justice. It is not a neutral organization. Rather, it has got full say in the international order. So this question, if it comes, is now a neutral body, you will say no, never. It has its own stand, its own body. It makes a decision, right? And NAM is also not fleeing away, running away from the world. It is an active organization that takes part wholeheartedly in the world politics, voice its concern, give its judgment, and see that there is justice. Justice is prevalent in in the international relations or international politics. Right. So this was something about now. Some statistical figures you will get in books, so there is no point discussing them right now. Now I'm coming to a new topic called NIEO, the New International Economic Order. Now, as it started, was a political, socio-political body. But slowly they realized that unless and until they have control on the monetary or economic aspect of the world, they won't be having any say in the world politics. So 1960s and 70s saw the emergence of the economic tilt of NAM. NAM decided that we, the countries, I just want to add something. The third world countries, the NAM countries, are also called developing countries because most of the countries were developing who got independence from their respective imperialist powers. So, developing countries, NAM countries, and third world countries. At your level, at grade 12 level, you can take as similar, right? So, the developing countries wanted say in the World Economic Forum that was being dominated by the world powers. So, your book uses the term LDC, though now this term is not used, but it is used in NCERT, so you can use in examination as well. Least developed countries. They insisted on a new international economic order. Why? 3 points. Number one, to open up the Western markets for their products so that only the Westerners are not able to sell their products in LDCs, rather the LDCs may also be able to sell their products in their countries. Number two, to get independence from economic dependency on the developed countries, that is USA and USSR and most of the Europe. And third was, it is very important to get access to Western technology, R&D, research and development, and develop themselves using the same. So initially the Western countries were not ready to supply their R&D and technology to these countries, but later they agreed upon that. In 1980s, the NIEO faced a very, very stiff competition from the Western countries. They were strong countries, and slowly the NIEO faded away. Now let us come to India's role. India, why did India start and became a pivotal part of the NAM? We may say there are 2 points. Point number one, India did not join any of the power blocs, so it could maintain its own position in the international politics. Right. So whenever it needed help from any superpower, it may tilt towards that superpower. There was no hard and fast rule that India will join USA bloc or India will join USSR bloc and it will be tilted towards USA or it will be tilted towards USSR. So India was free, very free to tilt towards the other. Right. So that made India a very strong contender because both USA and USSR wanted India to tilt towards them. So India kept on getting resources and help from both of them. Right. And the number two is that India wanted to develop itself and it wanted to use its resources for its development and not for the betterment and development of the superpowers. So India joined NAM as and started NAM. In fact, it drafted the policy so that it can maintain its position, its pivotal position in the world politics by not joining them. Now let's critically analyze India's position on NAM. Some criticize India on various issues. Some people say that India is not firm on the issues of international relations. India sometimes voiced its concern against a superpower when it was doing something wrong and kept mum and quiet when the other superpower was doing something wrong. So India sometimes spoke against, like it spoke vehemently, violently in United Nations against Great Britain when the issue of Suez Canal that goes through Egypt came, but kept mum and quiet when Afghanistan was invaded by USSR. So people criticized that India had a tilt towards USSR that it never accepted. The other criticism may be that India signed a 20 years treaty with Soviet Union in 1971 during the Bangladesh war crisis. Now, whatever might be the contention of India that USA and China and Pakistan came on one side, India became isolated, so India had no choice but to tilt towards USSR and sign that treaty. Indira Gandhi had to make it. You study in the other book as well. But this is also criticism that somewhere India was tilted towards Soviet Union from the very beginning, but it never showed. So in the wake of being a non country, it should not have been. But it happened that we could clearly see the tilt of India towards Soviet Union, though it was not in a very straightforward way um, said or perceived by anybody, but one could guess that, right? So these are the 2 points of criticism against India. So India has not maintained neutrality, some people say, and India has not voiced its concern over the issues of world politics and chose to speak or not to speak according to its values and its foreign policy. So it defeats the entire purpose of NAM. I don't know, I'll not say this is true or false. This is just a critical assessment of the critics. So I leave it upon you, how you see it, right? Uh, I have already told you about the arms race and theory of deterrence, right? To stop ourselves from war. So for that purpose, from 1960s onwards, many treaties were signed between USA and Soviet Union as well as their allies. These were, say, LTBT, right? 1969, if I'm not, or 61, if I'm not wrong. Then comprehensive test ban treaty I'm talking about, then non-proliferation treaty, then the SALT 1 and SALT 2. SALT means strategic treaties, and then START 1 and START 2, that is strategic talks, right? The reduction of arms. So this all the data and statistics, I need not to say this video is getting very long. On this video, you will get on, I think, page number 14 of your textbook. So this was the last topic. Now, with this, the chapter 1 of the Contemporary World Politics book ends. Now, I request you to listen to this video and doubt clearance, we will, as I told you earlier as well, we will try to make some platform so that we can interact with each other and I may be able to solve some doubts of yours. So for now, best of luck. God bless you. And listen to this video carefully and see that if you have any doubt, just jot it down on a piece of paper. Let's see what we can do the best for you. So for now, good day. Stay safe, stay healthy. Bye.